In this video, we're going to see how we can work using the paper view or the layout view in AutoCAD and how we can set up our sheet, our final representation of our project using different views and different scales, and using also dimensions and text and annotative elements, just as we did with the standard dimensions and text and other elements. We can also create annotative elements which will change accordingly to the different view and the different scale. So we're going to check out all these really important topics here and start to prepare our final paper, our final sheet that we're gonna print or export in the end of our project here in AutoCAD. Don't worry, because we're gonna go step by step and starting with simple things and then getting into more complex things, just as we did in all the videos of this course and also in other video courses dedicated to similar software. So in the previous lesson, we saw how we can create layers to organize and manage our project, and also blocks and groups, and how we can create dynamic groups using already dimensions. We also use the standard annotations here to represent some measures and also to insert text, simple text. And we saw that we can create our customized styles, either for text, for dimensions, and other annotative elements here. And we're going to just switch from this workspace now, which is blueprint setting, so it's black or blue background with really intense coloring. We're gonna switch from here to layout. So layout, it's what we usually do when we draw. When we do end drawing, we use a paper which is white, and this is also similar to Revit, which is another product of Autodesk to create an architecture project. So we're gonna see, and it's pretty similar also. Also in Revit, we can use a single project, a single model, and then from this create many sheets or layouts and many views, and we can change the scale on each view, so we can represent in many different ways our project to make it really, let's say, self-explanatory. Okay, so let's start here, and the first thing I could do is create some layers, because we will need some annotations in our sheets, but we will not use these ones here because these ones are based on this single view. So if we need to create a paper with just a single view and just a single scale, yes, we can use them. But since we need to create more views with more scales, we cannot define them here, but we're gonna work with them directly in the workspace, or else we can recreate them here but use annotative instead of standard dimensions and text. So I'm gonna show you how to do all that, don't worry. First thing is going into the layers, and let's create a new one, and let's call these text layout. And well, let's change a little bit the color here to distinguish. Okay, and also I will create another one. Let's call this dimension layout. And again, I'm gonna change the color a little bit. Okay, and then I will start here by using some text. So I'm gonna switch to the text layer. I'm going to hide the annotations. Now, when I hide the annotation, it's also gonna look better here in the layout. And so I don't need this text. So it's invisible. I'm gonna recreate a new text once I am in the layout. So in the layout, you can basically do whatever you do in the model or in the standard workspace, but the difference here is that it's gonna be on the layout instead of the project. So you can see now the text there is gone. I can create a simple single line text in here. So let's start from the top. Gonna just create a single line text, hold shift with the keyboard to insert it. And this is a first issue that you may encounter. So if I say apartment, let's say 1 to 100, it's gonna be my text. It's gonna be too big. There you go. Now you know that you can fix that right away by going into the properties. The properties panel, again, it's something really useful. You will find a lot of settings to manage the views that we're gonna create, and also the various annotations that we're gonna add. So in this case, I can just go right here. This was my style that we created in the previous video. Now we can change directly the height. I can say 7 instead of 70, and that's gonna be also better. But I can also decrease that, like 5. Okay. Now what you can see here is that we have a paper which is the standard A4. When you don't customize your layouts, but we're gonna talk about this later, that's gonna be your kind of common paper size that you find in your home. So it's the most common format that you will find in the real world. And this is not gonna be enough for bigger project, but could be okay if you need to represent a small apartment like this. Otherwise, we need to have larger paper size, but we're gonna see that again later. Now, another thing we can see here in the layout, and by the way, I don't need 2 layouts at the beginning. I can just delete one. So if I right click here, I can delete. Okay, and I'm gonna just use the first one. And again, if I right click, I can rename it, and I can rename this test 1. Also, you can see here the layout name. So when you're not selecting anything into this space, into this paper space, you're actually seeing here the properties of the sheet itself, of the layout itself. So here is where you can change the name. So let's call it layout test 1 or layout test. So you can change it from here. You can change it also down there, and here are also some extra settings. Now in the layout we have the views. The views are important to change the way we can look to our project. So the views are usually represented by this border. They are usually rectangle views, but we can make also other shapes. Now in this case, this is locked. This is locked because it's in the wall interiors for some reason. So I'm gonna change the layer of that, and I will use the text layout. Okay, we cannot do that. So we need to first unlock these walls like that, and then we can switch this one here. Sorry, this was internal wall, so let's unlock it, and then let's place this. So I'm gonna select the border, click on the layers, and place it into the text layout. Okay, now we can work on this view. So be careful if the layer is locked or not. Now, how can we work on the view? We already know the grips. We saw that them in other shapes using AUTOCAD, so other vector graphics here and drawing. So you can see how by changing the cropping view here, or the edges or the limits, I can decide what I want to see or not see in my project. That's the first thing I can do. Now if I click on the border, I can also click and drag it, place it somewhere in the sheet, and again I can adjust it by using these grips. If it's too big, maybe I want to use less space for this view, so I'm gonna try to optimize. There we go. And of course you can use snaps here. You can create your own lines. You can even create your title blocks.